What is family triangulation? Welcome back to the Family Roles series inside School of Soul. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and in this video, we're addressing one of the most manipulative but widely misunderstood tactics used in dysfunctional family systems, triangulation. If you've ever felt like your sibling was your enemy, like someone was always in the middle of conversations that should have been direct, or like you were never quite sure who to trust in your family, you may have been caught in a triangulation system. Triangulation is not a communication breakdown. It's a power play. It is a psychological tactic used to keep family members disconnected, disoriented, and disempowered. And it's one of the narcissist's favorite tools for maintaining control. So, what exactly is triangulation? In the simplest terms, triangulation is when a third person is used to manipulate communication or connection between two others. In families, this usually means that a parent inserts themselves between siblings, or between a child and another parent, to stir conflict, distort perception, or maintain emotional loyalty. Rather than allow direct conversations, the manipulator reroutes everything through themselves. This gives them all the control. They act as the gatekeeper of information, the filter of emotions, and the puppet master of relationships. And while this may sound like an exaggerated description, it is exactly how many narcissistic family systems function. Let's look at a typical example. A narcissistic parent tells one sibling that the other said something cruel or disappointing. Whether true, half-true, or totally fabricated, the message is meant to create distrust. That sibling reacts emotionally, maybe even confronts the other, but does so with a distorted understanding. The parent then comforts one child while accusing the other of overreacting. A wedge is driven between the siblings, but no one questions the parent. No one connects the dots. And the one person who created the fracture comes out looking innocent or even victimized. This is the classic setup: one manipulator, two people who are being emotionally positioned, and a dynamic that creates confusion, resentment, and misplaced blame. This can happen between siblings, between parents and children, between children and other relatives. It's a scalable strategy. And it works because it thrives on secrecy. In these systems, nothing is ever resolved directly. Every emotion gets rerouted. Every conflict gets manipulated. Every bond gets tested. And the person in control never gets confronted because everyone else is too busy defending themselves or proving their loyalty. This is why triangulation is so dangerous. It prevents unity. And in narcissistic family systems, unity is the greatest threat to control. When people compare notes, speak directly, or validate each other's experiences, the manipulator loses power. So their number one goal becomes keep people isolated, keep them competing, keep them confused. Triangulation often starts early. Children are praised in front of one sibling and criticized behind their back. One child is labeled the favorite, the other, the problem. When a child tries to speak the truth, they are punished not just through discipline, but through emotional exile. They might be excluded, smeared, or made to feel crazy. Meanwhile, the manipulator presents themselves as the only safe one in the family. They are the only one who really understands. But that safety is conditional and transactional. Let's talk about the psychological effects of this. First, triangulated children often grow up with intense trust issues. They don't know who to believe. They've been lied to so many times in subtle ways that they learn to second-guess their own reality. They may develop hypervigilance, always watching for betrayal, and internalize the idea that closeness is dangerous. Second, triangulated siblings often become estranged. Instead of seeing each other as allies, they see each other as rivals. And this rivalry is based on false information, distorted narratives, and years of intentional division. What could have been a supportive bond becomes a long-standing Cold War. Third, triangulation often creates permanent identity damage. The golden child may grow up feeling superior, anxious, or unable to connect authentically. The scapegoat may carry shame, resentment, or a sense of unworthiness. And the enabler, often a flying monkey or peacekeeper, may lose their sense of individuality completely, becoming an emotional extension of the manipulator. This is not just dysfunctional, it's spiritually corrosive. Because at its core, triangulation attacks your intuition. It tells you not to trust your instincts, not to believe your own experience, and not to speak directly to the people you care about. It replaces real connection with control-based illusion. And until it's seen clearly, it keeps running in the background, like a virus in your relational operating system. Now let's get into what this looks like in practice. Here are some real-world patterns of triangulation. A parent talks about one sibling behind their back to another, using words like, "Don't tell them I said this, but..." A child is constantly asked to take sides in adult arguments, making them emotionally responsible for one parent's pain. A narcissistic mother uses a new partner to make the ex jealous, dragging the children into comparisons and drama. Family gossip is presented as concern, but it's actually manipulation designed to undermine relationships and loyalty. In all of these, the goal is the same: make sure people aren't communicating directly. If people connect directly, the spell breaks. So how do you break the triangulation pattern? The first step is awareness. Start noticing when information is coming secondhand. Ask yourself, why is this being routed through someone else? Why is this person telling me something inflammatory without me being present to verify or respond? Second, go direct. This is the hardest and most powerful move you can make. Speak directly to the person being discussed. Don't accuse, clarify. Ask questions. Verify timelines. Refuse to engage with he said, she said energy. Third, set boundaries with the manipulator. You can say, I don't feel comfortable talking about someone who isn't here. Or, I'd rather discuss that with them directly. These sentences are simple, but they are subversive, because they remove the manipulator's favorite tool, secrecy. Fourth, rebuild trust where it was broken. If you've been triangulated, it's likely that some of your closest relationships have been damaged. Go back and talk, reconnect, compare your stories. You may find that the other person was just as misled as you were, and in that moment, the real healing begins. And finally, make a decision. You do not have to stay in any family role that was assigned to you through manipulation. Whether you were the golden child, the scapegoat, the fixer, or the lost one, those roles were created to uphold a system that required dysfunction to survive. Your job now is not to fulfill that role. Your job is to walk away from it. And when you do, the entire system loses its grip. Family triangulation is not love. It is not communication. It is not emotional safety. It is a weapon. And once you recognize it, name it, and refuse to play along, it loses its power over you. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and what you just watched is part of my signature program, the Chosen One series inside School of Soul. This series is not just a course, it's a blueprint for those who know they were different from the start: the black sheep, the scapegoat, the truth teller, the cycle breaker. Inside, you'll discover the family roles playbook, the golden child, the scapegoat, the enabler, the lost child, and how to finally step out of the part you were cast in without consent. How the black sheep becomes the goat, turning rejection into radical transformation in leadership. How to break generational curses and rewrite ancestral contracts so the pain stops with you. And how to recognize and escape modern forms of spiritual and technological targeting, from gang stalking to synthetic synchronicity. This isn't just about survival. It's about awakening, about reclaiming your voice, your lineage, and your destiny as one of the chosen ones. Click the link below to access the full series now, because the role ends the moment you decide it does, and the real script begins with you.